When the mean HOA lady Karen took my 2-week-old baby from my wife's arms during a fire alarm, she yelled, "Babies don't belong here." She had no idea she just took a Navy SEAL's son. What happened next ruined her life forever. Before watching the whole story right below where you're watching, also hit like and follow for more stories. The fire alarm was screaming through our apartment at exactly 2:15 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I jumped out of bed where I'd been taking a really needed nap after working all night. The loud sound cut through the quiet of our small 2-bedroom apartment like a knife. I ran to the kitchen where my wife Lisa was sitting in her favorite rocking chair, softly feeding our newborn baby Tommy. He was only 2 weeks old, so tiny and perfect with the softest brown hair and eyes that were just starting to look at our faces. Lisa looked up at me with worry in her tired eyes. Fire alarm. I yelled over the really loud noise that seemed to be getting louder. Lisa right away stopped feeding Tommy and grabbed him close, wrapping him carefully in his soft blue blanket that her mother had made for him. Is it real this time, or another one of those fake practice alarms? I don't know, but we can't take any chances. We have to get out right now. I put on the first clothes I could find, jeans and a navy t-shirt. Lisa was already moving toward the door, holding Tommy close to her chest to keep him warm against the cold October weather. We could hear other people in the hallway, footsteps, running doors, slamming voices calling out to each other. We ran downstairs with all the other people from our building. Mrs. Rodriguez from apartment 3A was helping her old mother down the stairs. The college kids from 2B were laughing nervously as they walked out. Everyone seemed confused about whether this was real or just another practice drill. Outside in the parking lot, everyone was standing in small groups talking quietly and looking back at the building. The fall air was cold, and I could see Lisa shaking a little as she held Tommy. I took off my jacket and put it around both of them. That's when I saw her walking toward us with her clipboard and that familiar angry look. Karen Wilson, the HOA president. She was the meanest, most bossy woman I'd ever met in my life. Always complaining about everything we did, always finding new ways to make our lives hard. Karen was in her mid-50s with short gray hair that was always perfectly done. Expensive clothes. That looked weird in our normal apartment building, and the kind of cold smile that never reached her eyes. From the day we moved in 3 months ago, she had made it clear that she didn't want young families in her building. She had complained when Lisa hung baby clothes on our small balcony to dry. She had made a noise complaint when Tommy cried at night, even though our neighbors said they could barely hear him. She had even tried to fine us for having a baby stroller in our hallway, saying it was dangerous. Karen walked over to us with her clipboard held like a weapon, her HOA president pin shining in the afternoon sun. "You can't bring that baby out here during an emergency evacuation." Lisa looked up at her, confused, fixing Tommy's blanket to make sure he stayed warm. "What do you mean?" "It's our son. Babies don't count in official fire drills. The rules clearly say that babies who can't walk must be left in their apartments during evacuations. Take him back upstairs right now." I stepped forward, feeling my protective feelings kick in. "We're not leaving our 2-week-old baby alone during a fire emergency." Karen's face started turning red the way it always did when someone questioned her power. "I'm the HOA president of this building. I've been managing emergency procedures here for 6 years. Those are the official safety rules. That's not a real rule," I said, keeping my voice calm but strong. "No real fire. Safety rule requires parents to leave their babies during an evacuation." "Don't you dare argue with me!" Karen yelled loud enough that other people started turning to look at us. I know these rules better than some young renter who's been here for 5 minutes. Other neighbors were watching now, but they looked scared of Karen, instead of helpful. She had been bullying and scaring everyone in the building for years. People were afraid to stand up to her because she had the power to make their lives terrible with fines, violations, and harassment. Mrs. Chin from 4C was holding her own baby, looking nervous. Mr. Peterson from 1A had his little daughter with him. None of them said anything, but I could see the worry in their eyes. Lisa started crying, holding Tommy even closer. "Please, Karen, he's just a tiny baby. We can't leave him alone. I don't care how small he is." Karen snapped, "Babies cause problems during emergencies. They cry and slow everyone down. They distract other people from following proper evacuation procedures." I looked down at Tommy, who wasn't even crying. He was sleeping peacefully in Lisa's arms, completely unaware of the chaos around him. "He's not crying," I pointed out. "He's not causing any problems. He will be." Karen insisted. "Babies always cause problems. That's why the rules exist." "What rules?" I demanded. "Show me in writing where it says parents have to leave their babies." Karen held her clipboard tighter. "I don't have to show you anything. I'm the boss here. When I give an order, you follow it." Lisa was crying harder now, her whole body shaking. "Please, we just want to keep our baby safe." "Then you should have thought about that before you decided to have a baby in a building with proper safety standards," where Karen yelled. The crowd was getting bigger. More people had come outside, and they were all watching our fight with shock and fear. I could see phones being pulled out, people starting to record what was happening. "We're not leaving our son," I said firmly. "If you have a problem with that, you can call the fire department and ask them about proper evacuation procedures for families with babies." Karen got even angrier. "Don't tell me to call anyone. I'll call building security and have you both kicked out from the property for breaking emergency rules, for refusing to leave our baby, for messing up a mandatory safety drill, and refusing to follow direct orders from the HOA president." That's when Karen made her first big mistake. Instead of backing down or calling real authorities, she decided to take matters into her own hands. "If you won't follow the rules," she said, stepping closer to Lisa, "then I'll handle this myself." Before either of us could react, Karen reached out and grabbed for Tommy. She pulled him right out of Lisa's arms with rough, careless hands. "Give me that baby," Karen said, holding my tiny son awkwardly and too tight. Lisa screamed at the top of her lungs. "No, give me my baby." Tommy right away started crying because Karen was holding him wrong, squeezing him too hard, and the sudden movement had scared him. The cold October air hit his little face, making him cry even louder. "He's mine now," Karen said, stepping back from us. "I'm taking him upstairs where he belongs according to proper safety rules." That's when something snapped inside me, but my Navy SEAL training kicked in, and instead of losing control, I became completely focused and calm. This was a dangerous situation, involving my family, and I knew exactly how to handle it. "Ma'am," I said in my military command voice, the tone I used when lives were in danger, "you need to give me my son right now." Karen looked at me for the first time with a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, but she was too angry and too used to getting her way to back down. "You can't tell me what to do. I'm the HOA president. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Give me my baby. Now I'm calling the police on you for threatening a HOA official," Karen yelled, still holding Tommy, who was crying louder now. "Good idea," I said calmly. "Please call them. I'd like to file a report for assault and kidnapping." "Kidnapping?" Karen looked shocked. I was following proper safety procedures. "You physically took someone else's baby against the parents' will in every state in America. That's called kidnapping." I could see other people pulling out their phones, some calling 911, others recording everything that was happening. Karen was starting to realize that this wasn't going the way she had planned. "I have authority here," she insisted, but her voice was getting shaky. "No authority on earth gives you the right to take people's babies." Lisa was sobbing and reaching for Tommy. "Please give him back. You're hurting him." Karen ignored Lisa and turned back to me. "I'm going to have you both kicked out for this." That's when I decided she had gone far enough. I moved with the precision and speed that had been drilled into me through years of military training, not violent, but quick and completely controlled. I stepped forward, got Tommy with one hand, and with the other, I firmly but safely moved Karen aside. The entire movement took less than 2 seconds. Tommy was back in my arms, and I immediately handed him to Lisa, who started checking him over and trying to calm his cries. Karen stood there staring at me, completely shocked. What just happened?" "What happened?" I said calmly, "is that you just committed assault and attempted kidnapping in front of 30 witnesses. Kidnapping. I was following HOA rules. You physically removed a baby from his parents' arms against their will. That's kidnapping, and it's a serious crime." Karen's face was going between red and pale. I was just trying to maintain proper safety standards by scaring a new mother and endangering a baby. Just then, we heard the sound of real fire trucks coming. This wasn't a drill, after all. There had been a small electrical fire in the basement laundry room, and the alarm was completely real. Fire Chief Martinez and his crew came running over to our group when they saw the commotion. What's happening here is everyone accounted for. I quickly explained the situation while Lisa continued to calm Tommy down. Other neighbors immediately spoke up to support our version of events. She grabbed the baby right out of the mother's arms, said Mrs. Rodriguez. She said they had to leave the baby alone upstairs during the fire, said Mr. Peterson. The baby was crying because she was holding him too rough, added Mrs. Chin. Fire Chief Martinez looked at Karen with complete disgust. Ma'am, there is absolutely no fire safety rule that requires parents to abandon their children during an evacuation. What you did was not only wrong, it was dangerous and completely against all emergency procedures. Karen was getting desperate now. But I'm the HOA president. I've been managing emergency procedures here for 6 years. I know the rules. You don't know anything about fire safety, Chief Martinez said firmly. In 30 years of emergency response, I've never heard anything so ridiculous. Parents evacuate with their children, especially babies who can't walk. I pulled out my military ID and handed it to Chief Martinez. Sir, I'm Petty Officer Mike Johnson, Navy SEALs. I've been trained in emergency procedures, civilian evacuation rules, and child protection. What this woman did was assault and attempted kidnapping. Chief Martinez looked at my ID and nodded with respect. Thank you for your service, Petty Officer Johnson, and you're absolutely right about what happened here. Karen's face went completely white when she heard Navy SEALs. For the first time, she seemed to realize she might be in serious trouble. You're your military, she whispered. Yes, ma'am, and you just assaulted and attempted to kidnap a military family's newborn baby. The full meaning of what she had done started hitting Karen like a freight train. Crimes against military families are taken very seriously by law enforcement. Federal charges could be involved. I didn't know, she stammered. It wouldn't matter if you did know. I replied, what you did was wrong, regardless of who we are or what I do for a living. Police officers arrived about 5 minutes later. Chief Martinez had called them to document the incident and take statements from witnesses. Officers Davis and Miller took detailed statements from Lisa and me, as well as from multiple neighbors who had witnessed Karen grabbing Tommy. Mrs. Wilson. Officer Davis said after interviewing several witnesses, based on multiple eyewitness accounts and the evidence we've gathered, I'm placing you under arrest for assault, attempted kidnapping, and child endangerment. This is completely ridiculous, Karen protested as they began putting handcuffs on her. A respected member of this community. I've been HOA president for 6 years. I was just trying to enforce proper safety rules. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As they read, Karen her Miranda rights and led her toward the patrol car. She turned back to us one final time. This isn't over, she shouted. Her face twisted with anger. I'll make your lives terrible. You'll regret the day you moved into my building. I'll find a way to get you kicked out. Officer Miller shook his head. Ma'am, I would strongly advise you to stop talking right now. But Karen couldn't help herself. That baby doesn't belong here. Young parents are irresponsible. They think everyone should accommodate their choices. The officers put her in the back of the patrol car while she continued shouting threats and insults. As they drove away, Karen was still visible through the back window, gesturing angrily and yelling things we couldn't hear. After Karen was taken away, the other people slowly gathered around us. The support was overwhelming and unexpected. I'm so sorry that happened to you, said Mrs. Rodriguez with tears in her eyes. Is the baby okay? We've all been afraid of her for years, admitted Mr. Peterson. She's been bullying people and making up fake rules to control everyone, but nobody wanted to stand up to her. You did the right thing, said Mrs. Chin. Someone needed to stop her before she hurt someone. She's been scaring families in this building for years, said Mr. Davis from 2C, always complaining about children, always trying to make life difficult for young parents. Fire Chief. Martinez came up to us one more time before his crew finished checking the building. Petty Officer Johnson. I want you to know that what you did today was handled perfectly. You protected your family without escalating to unnecessary violence, and you followed proper channels for reporting the incident. Thank you, Chief and Ma'am, he said to Lisa. You're an excellent mother. What that woman said about parents and babies was completely wrong and against everything we know about emergency safety. You did everything exactly right. Lisa finally managed to smile through her tear. Thank you, I was so scared. I've never had anyone try to take my baby before. You never have to be scared of her again, I assured her. The property management company arrived an hour later. When they heard what had happened, they were horrified. Karen had been acting without any authority from the actual property owners, making up rules that didn't exist in any lease or HOA agreement. Over the next few days, the story spread throughout the building and the surrounding community. Local news picked up the story with the headline, HOA President Arrested for Attempting to Kidnap Baby During Fire Emergency. The building's property management company immediately suspended Karen from her HOA position, pending a full investigation. When they reviewed her actions over the past 6 years, they discovered that many of her rules had been completely made up. She had been using her position to intimidate and control people through fear and fake authority. 3 weeks later, Karen Mitchell was found guilty on all charges in a trial that lasted only 2 days. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Multiple witnesses' video footage, from people's phones and her own recorded statements to police. Judge Anderson was particularly harsh in his sentencing. Clearly disgusted by what he had heard, Mrs. Wilson, Judge Anderson said, "What you did to this family was not only illegal, but morally terrible. You used your position of supposed authority to scare new parents and endanger an innocent baby. Your actions show a complete disregard for basic human decency and the law." Karen was sentenced to 6 months in county jail, 2 years of probation, 500 hours of community service working with child protection organizations, and ordered to pay $15 in damages to our family for emotional distress and legal costs. She was also permanently banned from holding any HOA position anywhere in the state. But the real victory came from the positive changes her arrest brought to our apartment building. The people held a meeting and voted to completely change how the HOA operated. New rules were written that limited any president's authority and required all rules to be approved by a majority vote of people. A grievance committee was established to handle complaints about HOA management. Most importantly, new policies were put in place specifically to protect families with children. Discrimination against families was explicitly banned, and emergency procedures were rewritten to prioritize child safety and family unity. 6 months later, our apartment building held its first annual family barbecue. Tommy, now a healthy 8-month-old baby, was crawling around on a blanket and had become the center of attention for all the neighbors. "He's gotten so big," said Mrs. Rodriguez gently, touching Tommy's tiny hand as he tried to grab her finger. "And so happy," added Mrs. Chin. "Look at that big smile. He's such a joy. He's going to be walking soon," predicted Mr. Peterson, watching Tommy pull himself up. On the edge of his blanket, Mr. Davis came up to me while I was helping to grill hamburgers for everyone. "Mike, I owe you a serious apology. For what? For not standing up to Karen sooner. We all knew she was wrong about so many things, but we were scared of her retaliation. You showed us that bullies only have the power we give them. You don't owe me anything," I replied. "When it really mattered, you all stood up and told the truth. That's what stopped her." Lisa joined us carrying Tommy in his favorite blue outfit with little sailboats on it. "Look who just woke up from his nap. There's our little hero," said Mr. Peterson, making funny faces that made Tommy giggle. "He looks just like his dad said. Mrs. Rodriguez. Poor kid," I joked, making everyone laugh. That evening, as we walked around the building with Tommy in his new stroller, Lisa thought about how much our lives had changed. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if Karen had actually succeeded in taking him upstairs that day?" I thought about the question seriously. "She never would have succeeded, Lisa, not while I was alive and breathing. But what if you hadn't been there? What if it had just been me alone with her? Then you would have protected him, just like you did that day. You're much stronger than you realize, and you're an amazing mother. Lisa smiled and reached down to fix Tommy's blanket. He's so lucky to have you as his father. We're both lucky to have you as our family. As we walked past the exact spot where the fire trucks had been parked on that terrible day, I thought about how one moment of pure evil had actually led to so much good. Karen's cruelty had brought our community together in ways that never would have happened, otherwise her illegal actions had led to better protections and fairer treatment for all families. Her abuse of fake power had resulted in a more democratic and just system for everyone. Tommy gurgled happily in his stroller, reaching up to try to catch the leaves falling from the trees. Completely unaware of the drama and danger that had surrounded his first month of life, he would grow up in a safe, supportive community where families were protected and bullies couldn't hide behind fake authority. That night, as I watched Lisa feeding Tommy his bottle before bedtime, I thought about the day that had changed everything for us. Karen Wilson had thought she could scare a young family because we looked vulnerable and new to the building. She had assumed her position gave her unlimited power over people and their children. She had made one fatal miscalculation. She had tried to take a baby away from his Navy SEAL father. Some mistakes in life you only get to make once. Karen learned that day that real strength isn't about intimidating people who seem weaker than you. Real strength is about protecting those who can't protect themselves, especially innocent children. And sometimes when evil reaches out to harm the most vulnerable among us, real strength and proper training are exactly what the world needs most. Tommy fell asleep in Lisa's arms, completely safe and surrounded by love in a community that would never again allow anyone to hurt the smallest and most precious members of their family. That's how one evil woman's cruelty ended up making the world a safer place for babies like our son. And that's how a Navy SEAL's training to protect the innocent proved that some battles are fought not with violence or weapons, but with unwavering love, courage, and the absolute refusal to let evil people harm innocent children.